Yo, what is good, my anime faithful? What is good, yo? We are in a very interesting spot with the overall story and narrative that we are getting with this show. To the Sacred Beast, or to the Abandoned Sacred Beast. I really was not predicting um, how this was going to end. I thought the father was going to. I guess I did kind of get it right, and at the same time I didn't. But I didn't expect him to come back from the war, and when he comes back, he's like straight up fully transformed and seemingly can't even go back. He's just stuck in dragon form. And while he's stuck in dragon form, he still shows that, he cares and loves for his daughter and all these orphan kids. And it was really unexpected for them to accept him and just kind of go on with it, you know what I mean? So that was really cool on their part. And then not only that, we then get to see, just what would happen if he was, left alone, if he was there and not really causing anyone else trouble. And what happens? Seemingly, he's the one who just goes and he's the one that was waking up, I guess, at the times in the night after we hear him like roar for one time. Oh, that looked rough. And next thing you know, he's, four or like eight or something cows are getting ripped to shreds, and no humans could probably do what they're talking about. Excuse me. No human can probably do what they're talking about in the sense of ripping it to shreds within just a night. With even probably the certain tools that they have there. I mean, there's still like farmers and stuff like that. Not to mention they need to eat said cows for like that was what was helping the orphans and stuff stay alive as well as just the villagers in general too. So to think that um, someone in the village would do that, knowing that that's their one of their main sources of all types of foods, like food and milk. It was it was kind of questionable. And then they have a big dragon in the backyard, somewhere. So they're like, yeah, maybe it's the dragon. So we find out it definitely probably was him, and the way his eye looked that night just kind of gave that instant, like that gave that thought away. He probably finally tamed himself to the smallest degree, did not attack there, and just left. And then the cows were the first things to get it, in my opinion. So it's kind of nice to see them telling these types of stories through the daughter's eyes because in her eyes, the dragon was innocent the whole time. So to then go and put it out of its miseries for being innocent is disgusting to her, and she really shows it. Not to mention it's her father, so it even hurts twice as much than it's supposed to. Like it's this that was a dragon that supposedly was killing your food and stuff. You're supposed to despise it. You're supposed to hate it. It's what everybody in the village did. So why don't you? And that just goes to show you what type of character we're already kind of dealing with here in her case of just being accepted, like her acceptance of her father and stuff, how it all played out. So I don't know. I'm really interested in seeing just what overall plays out with her traveling with the guy who took out her father, which, mind you, it feels like if he really was fighting him, and there's two things I want to talk about here that really kind of actually, I don't know if it makes me mad as much as it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make sense at times to do it. So with this week's episode, we see that the orphans get taken out of the house, right? Like, even because there isn't enough stock for even the villagers to go around, now on top of that, they still were helping the orphans and they were feeding them. So they're like, yeah, we gotta let them go to somewhere else so they have a better, better life out of this village where there's just not enough stuff to take care of them as there was. And then even the father, he gets this overall sense, or he's like listening to his daughter talk, and she's talking about let's leave into the forest forever by ourselves and stuff. And she's pretty much gonna throw away humanity just for her father, who he already knows himself. He probably is, losing control every single night that he continues to be this dragon. I mean, he has probably the strongest resolve we've seen out of all of these guys that have been fully transforming, or that has been in this after the coma time skip, have just they can't really control themselves. And we saw that with Danny at the end of the episode, and just how ridiculously far gone off he is. I asked them to please give me all their jewelries and all their belongings. You know what they said? No, so I killed them. They had to go. Like, that's just how far he's come. It's time to hit my devil trigger. And that kind of just, sums up how ridiculously, contained, and how much, like I was saying, resolve and willpower probably that this dragon had to, never really do anything bad until the night kept coming around. They said the howling came more and more often, and I bet that howl was more or less him crying out than it was the dragon. Or maybe it's vice versa, where the dragon is finally crying out because he has so much control over the body. Um, it was a very, very touching way of, showing this how deadly of a transformation that they are and how powerful they are. But not only that, how much toll it is taking on probably just the human inside the most. Because, like I was saying, we saw someone transform and lose control way back in the war when they're all still working as a team and going in to fight more fights. Like, they were still there was people still willing to, go to fights, and it just didn't that's when our main character gets shot. But that's the thing. It's like, where does all of this like stem from when we get to the end of it? Like, is there going to be more of them created that are unique? Are we going to see another dragon? This is what I was talking about. What I don't like is in the openings song, you can see this dragon being taken out by an army of people. Like, there's a whole like unit of people with tethers and ropes and stuff holding this dragon down that we see this weekend taken out by one character by himself. And it's just like, why did you do that if it wasn't even in the, like, if this dragon didn't even make it past episode 2? What was the point of doing that? And I guess just because of the aesthetic of the dragon, you want to show him off as much as possible. So why not get a little thing of him in there showing off, and people trying to tether and take him out. But it also came in the fact of, it was one of the guys that we see on the side of our guy in the red, our number 20. I'm gonna call him number 26 for now, because I forgot if, yeah, he didn't tell the daughter his name, so I'm just gonna call him 26, or call him White Hood or Werewolf. I don't know which one sounds better. I like 26 because it was the main thing she kind of just focused on after he turned his back. But to see him do that, it felt like the dragon may have just like started to go berserk, because we did see some fire going off, and then next thing you know, he was dead. So either he already had lost control, and that's when our guy had found him. So, overnight he's always losing control. And now, once he's been, subdued at this time, he's not out of control. He's not berserk anymore. And that's the time the daughter sees him, just like, just taking, just seeming like he's already lost the fight. And this guy goes out of his way to still deliver a fatal blow to him while he's passed out on the ground. So it just looked really, really bad from the angle that she was from. And I love that they took the whole perspective of the story from our guy who's been portrayed, and give us, the side of the daughter, who is now going to follow him to find out, why does he need to take out his own comrades that even he was so proud of. And that's why he's even carrying the oath that they made all around. He loved these people that he got to work with. It's just the simple fact of, why doesn't his ability take him over as much? And I think it's because he's the captain, And as you saw during the captain, during the fights, he still fought without his ability like the whole time. And I think the only time we saw him use his ability was to fight one of his own. So that's kind of where I'm going with this, and the overall case of, I think that's the only reason why he hasn't gone berserk or lose so much of his mind, and that goes for the same guy that was his right hand man that he had grown up with. He didn't use much of his power either, so he probably has a very good grip on it. I don't know, man. This show is dope. It looks good. And then Danny, Danny showing up to the villagers with a bag of bloody gems and his hands completely covered in blood, and to see this woman still full on accepting it, like, oh Danny, just thank God you're back and this and that. They clearly were blinded by fear, like if they didn't do what Danny wanted, Danny gonna transform into a rhino and punch you, okay? And it's gonna be GG, just like the people who he robbed, all right? And that's, oh well, he didn't even punch him. They said he was crushed by a large object, so he might have just threw a boulder or something. No, but his hands are considered large objects, so it makes sense that it was him just punching him to death. And mind you, the captain has to then go around and experience every tormenting, disgusting things his people are delivering to everybody, while then looking for them and trying to hunt them down. It's a very, very rough story for this guy, and I don't see him having much heart, left after all of it, and to take out someone that betrayed him in the beginning and killed the girl that, was going to portray all these people together and kill themselves, to then now he's just living his life and, doing whatever the heck he wants at this point, like everybody else. Who knows how this is going to pop off, but regardless, I will be here recording all the episodes, hopefully catching all the greatness of this show. And I hope you guys have an awesome day, night, evening, whatever the case may be when you're watching this. I am your boy, the Anime G. And I definitely will have at least one more video dropping. So if you want to see that, I hope that I catch you in that video as well. But with that being said, I will definitely talk to you soon. So with that, peace.